it going, you guys? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are talking about the NBA play-in tournament. Very exciting stuff coming up. We're also talking about Rachel Nichols and how she caught a ton of backlash for asking Tim Duncan about LeBron James, and I cannot wait to hear Jackie's take on all of this. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JRayTheFanatic.
Jackie, how was your weekend?
It was good. I mean, I got a lot of stuff done. I'm still kind of all over the place, but hey, we're here. That's the most important thing. We're starting off the week together, so that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a great way to start off the week. I agree with you. My weekend was all over the place too, but I did get to see my dogs yesterday. My parents came up for a little bit at the last minute. Yeah, and I got to hang out with my dogs all day, which was so fun. So that was very, very nice. But we kind of have a lot to get into with this play-in tournament, and I want us to be able to take a lot of time talking about it and giving our predictions. So I feel like I'm just going to jump right in here. As you guys likely know, the 2020-2021 NBA regular season is officially done, but we won't know what the final postseason seedings are until the new play-in tournament concludes on Friday, and that's one day before the playoffs actually begin on May 22nd. So in the Eastern Conference, let's start off by talking about the number 7 seed Boston Celtics and the number 8 seed Washington Wizards, who are playing against each other. So the Celtics were Eastern Conference finalists for 3 of the past 4 seasons, and they won 7 playoff series over that time. But they did recently lose Jaylen Brown, which does not help their playoff dreams at all. I think that actually sort of solidifies their fate. They do have the home court advantage on their side, but the Wizards are definitely building momentum. We've seen them do pretty well in the last month, so they kind of have that energy going on their side. So, Jackie, if you had to predict which team is going to be winning this tournament, who are you going with?
So I did a prediction about this already on somebody else's channel. So I said that the Celtics would probably, because everyone's just kind of a naysayer for them right now, saying that they don't have a shot. And sometimes I think that negative energy kind of helps propel you through stuff. So I did say that they would probably beat Washington in that first play-in game. And then I said Washington would beat either the Pacers or the Hornets. So I had the Celtics at the number 7 seed and the Wizards at the number 8 seed in the East. So that's just what I think. I mean, nobody agreed with me on that specific show that I was on. There like, no way, Celtics are absolutely going to lose. But I just think sometimes, you get so tired of people talking about what you can't do, and you get so hell-bent on proving them wrong that energy takes you through at least that first hurdle. So I'm kind of counting on that to happen this time. And I think the Wizards will be in there too, because I think they'll beat they will beat the Pacers or the Hornets. So that's my prediction.
All right. So you think the Celtics are going to be going into this playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be motivated by the negative energy. So I wasn't going. I was going Wizards. So that was my take on it. Just because I think that.
Even if that's the case, so if the Wizards win, then they'd get the number 7 seed, and then the Celtics would have to play either the Pacers or the Hornets. I don't have a whole bunch of faith in either of those teams. So I still think the Celtics get in either at the number 7 or the number 8 spot, and they're a first round exit. But I still think they make it into the number 7 or number 8 spot.
All right. So then when it comes to the Pacers and the Hornets, let's just talk about what they're looking like right now. So the Pacers are going to be without Miles Turner, who is their defensive center. He hasn't played since early April. And then the Charlotte Hornets likely won't have Gordon Hayward, and he is the team's second leading scorer. So that's probably going to hurt them a lot. What's your take on that?
Yeah, just what I said. I don't have faith in either of those teams. I see K-Chin, I guess, in the chat says, stop dissing my Hornets. I'm not dissing your Hornets. Simply said, I don't have any faith in them. I mean, it is what it is right now. I just don't think that they're in the best position to. And again, if they make it, they make it. I don't really have a dog in that race. I don't really care that much. But I just do think that this energy, I think that if the Celtics have to face either of those teams, they come out ahead. I think if the Wizards have to face either of those teams, they come out ahead. So they, and I like what Kevin Lang chat, he says the Wizards have absolutely nothing to lose. That's true. But at the same time, the Celtics have nothing to lose because the Celtics really are going in there with everyone expecting them to lose. So, and again, I think that's one of those things that's just going to carry them through. You're right, JD. I don't watch a lot of Pacers. I watch a lot of highlights from the Pacers. So what I've seen, I don't even think we get a lot of Pacers games out here because it's only if the Lakers are, and that just doesn't happen very often. So I don't get to watch because we live in LA. We don't get to watch a lot of Pacers games, and I'm just not going to pay. I can pay the $1.99 or whatever to watch it on the NBA app, but I'm just not going to pay that for the Pacers. Sorry. So I don't watch a ton of Pacers, but I do watch a lot of their highlights, and it's just one of those things that I'm not that impressed with them. It could be a little bit of a chip on my shoulder now that Victor's not there because that's my boo, but yeah, I'm just not impressed with either of those teams. So I do think Celtics, Wizards 7 and 8 spot, whatever spot that ends up, I don't really care.
All right, well, let's move on to the Western Conference. So in the first series or matchup that everybody is so excited about, the Lakers versus the Warriors. This is incredible. So obviously Jackie and I are Lakers fans, so we might be biased in our take here, but I think that when it comes to the Warriors, Steph is going to be the biggest obstacle for the Lakers to overcome. But luckily, we have these defensive guards to kind of throw at Steph in Dennis Schroeder, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Alex Caruso. So if the Lakers can just keep Steph Curry down to like a 32-point regular season average instead of coming out with one of his wild 50-point games, that would put the Warriors, I think, at a disadvantage and sort of a more vulnerable position. So the Warriors did finish the season with a top 5 defensive rating, but 20th in offense. And the Lakers were the best defensive team by that metric, but were 24th offensively. Now, Jackie, I feel like I know what you're going to say. I don't even know why I'm asking, but who is winning here?
I had a prediction on this one as well. I said the Lakers beat Golden State to get the number 7 seed, and then the Warriors beat either the Grizzlies or the Spurs to get the number 8 seed. So I already had that one in. I find it interesting that you mentioned KCP in there because KCP defensively has been non-existent for almost the entire season. So we definitely need him to step up. Dennis he's always constant on the defensive end. And then we need more from Andre too. Kyle Kuzma needs to step up scoring wise because he'll score 25 points one game, 2 points the next game. So that inconsistency we've seen from KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Andre, that cannot happen going into this play-in. We need to make sure we beat the Warriors to set the tone. It's going to be very important to set that tone and set it early. And just get them out the way so they can go ahead on and do whatever they need to do against Memphis or San Antonio. But we do need these people who have been KCP. I watch him a lot because I'm always frustrated about the fact that he kind of goes to his spot, which is in either corner, and he kind of waits. He doesn't get in there and in the mix and help out as much as I think he can. So he's going to need to change that. And I'm hoping that everyone's kind of watched tape. They've seen where they have been lacking, especially defensively throughout the season, and they can go in and step that up because it's going to be an absolute must to make sure that we don't get embarrassed in this play-in situation because that's just going to be a lot. I know for those of y'all who've been watching Challenge Accepted, this is my heart, my whole heart. All I needed the Nuggets to do was one thing last night. One thing. Just win, but nah, couldn't do it.
Yeah, Jackie's got a lot riding on all this right now. So her pride, her dignity, her LeBron fandom, there's a lot playing here. Okay, so I know you briefly mentioned the Grizzlies and the Spurs, but let's talk about them. So they missed the Spurs missed the playoffs for the first time in over 2 decades last summer. And so right now they have this opportunity to kind of make a comeback and reestablish their reputation and their legacy. But Ja Morant, I think, is also really kind of gunning for a breakout second season, not even a breakout second season, but he just wants to have this kind of big career-defining moment for himself, which I understand. So I think he's kind of got a lot of motivation and a lot of energy going into this. We saw him pretty much carry the team last season. He was extremely impressive. So now this is another opportunity for him to kind of establish who he is as a player, especially as a young athlete in the NBA. So what's your take on this one?
I mean, I love Ja Morant. There's no... I just love him. I think he's dope. And I do think it's a defining moment for him. But the Spurs as an organization are just really consistent. They really kind of know how to get themselves out of tough situations and not panic. And everyone kind of just play their role and just do. That's historically what the Spurs have been known for. And so they kind of just know how to do that. So I can see them getting into a situation where they're down, but then they can come back. But I have 100% faith in Ja, and I believe what you just said, that he needs to prove that he is the guy for that organization, and this is the perfect time to do it, especially if your team starts faltering a little bit and you're the guy to bring them out of that. That is going to speak volumes for who you are to that franchise and who you're going to be going forward. So obviously there's a lot of weight on his shoulders, but as a whole, I think the Spurs, they just know how to maneuver a little bit better around tough situations if they should get into one. So it's going to be one of those things that if the Grizzlies get ahead, they can't get cocky. You have to know that the Spurs at any time have prepared for this kind of situation and they can come back and get you. But my money's on the Grizzlies. But I do think, again, no matter who wins between them, once Steph gets over there, because I do think we'll win first, once Steph gets over there, then it's a different situation for them. But, I mean, I'd love to be wrong about that. I would love for the Grizzlies to win against the Spurs and then smoke the Warriors. That would be fantastic for me. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but that would be, I would love that. I would pay to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be extremely exciting, but I'm with you as well. I was going Grizzlies on this one, but I think if it comes to Grizzlies and the Warriors, I don't see the Grizzlies being able to walk away with the win there, unless there's some sort of major event that happens that completely weakens the Warriors, which I don't want that to see. I don't want to see that happen. The final question that I want to ask you here is, are you surprised by who's in the play-in tournament? Is there anything about this that you were not expecting?
No, I'm not surprised at who's in the play-in tournament at all. Because we've predicted this. Probably about mid-April, everyone who's in the play-in tournament is who we predicted. I was hoping that the Lakers did not end up in the play-in tournament because that's just not where I want them to be. But, we kind of predicted this. And so I think and I don't want to say it's a given because I've said this time and time again, you just don't know who teams are going to be getting into this situation, getting into this, do or die situation. Everyone steps up. And let's be clear, no one's a bum. I see y'all in the chat talking about, like Kyle Kuzma's a bum. No one who's made it to this level in their career is a bum. I know Danny Green popped into my head, but even he's not. He's not.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming. As soon as you said that, I was like, we're going to get a Danny Green comment in just a second.
I tried so hard, but I mean, he's not even a bum. He's got moments of greatness as well. So none of these guys are bums. And all of them know what's on the line. All of them know that if they don't perform, they're going home. None of them want to go home. So I think everybody steps up. Now, on the flip side, sometimes when you get in that do or die situations, you do make mistakes that are costly for your team. But if you can mitigate that in some way and then just step up and be constant and then understand, like, if you're having a bad night, Steph is the only person who can have a bad night. He's the only one who can shoot 3 for 13 and he still come back and bite you because he's still going to keep making them shots and you just don't know when he's going to get hot. Everybody else, if you're having a bad night, accept that you're having a bad night and then D up a little bit because you're not Steph. You're not going to all of a sudden turn that bad night around and hit that clutch shot for your team. That's a Steph and maybe Damian Lillard kind of thing to do. So as long as everyone plays their roles, and that's the important thing I think people forget sometimes, you got to know your role and you got to play it well, because that's also going to help your team. So as long as everybody can play their role, I think we're going to be in for some good basketball. I know I saw Kevin Lang earlier. He said that this play-in tournament is a horrible idea. If there was a way that I could just see what people in the NBA are thinking, I think this play-in tournament is going to be a thing. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to end up being a thing because it is good basketball. It gives, the 9th and 10th spot a chance that we've not seen before. And in the West specifically, in the East, it doesn't really matter because I feel like the East, it's always some sort of big gap between who should get in, who should not. But in the West, it's always like this tight little race, and it just makes it interesting. It's good TV. It's fun to watch. So I'm curious to see if they're going to keep this going into the future, but we'll see.
I've been thinking about that too, Jackie, because I feel like there's been a lot of hype around the play-in tournament, a lot of conversations. People are really excited about it, and I know it initially received a bunch of criticism and backlash from NBA athletes like LeBron himself. But I think that it's ultimately turning out to be kind of a cool spectacle, a bit of an event, and I can for sure see them doing this in the future. And I actually am not mad about it. I sort of like the idea. And like I mentioned, I think last week we talked about this on the live show. It doesn't even seem like now a lot of the players are minding. AD said that he liked the position that they were in with the Lakers, like in this opportunity to kind of go into the play-in tournament, which to me was very surprising because I didn't think any team would want to be there. But they're kind of embracing this, and it's really upping the ante and making it feel a lot more competitive than it already even is, which I think is very, very exciting. Okay, so let's move on to this next Need to Know News update. Rachel Nichols is at the center of controversy right now. She came under some serious fire after her interview with Tim Duncan. So she talked with Tim as he was getting ready to be enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame, and she asked him a lot of questions. The interview, I think, spanned about 10 minutes, but she brought up a couple questions and a couple talking points about LeBron James. I have a clip to show you guys, so Leo, when you get a moment, can you throw that up for us?
You said this is going to be your league, but I appreciate you giving us a year. What was that moment like?
You could just tell what he was going to be and who he was going to be, and that he was going to be such a dominant player for such a long time.
Oh, okay. I guess that was the end of the clip. I think I meant for it to be longer, but it doesn't matter. We can cut it there. So
it was great playing him so early and again late in my career, and just watching his trajectory of his career, you just see it coming. But playing against all
right, we can cut it here. Sorry, Leo, that was my bad. So yeah, he talked for a while about LeBron, and there was a lot of criticism. There were so many tweets that came out. Leo, let's get the first tweet up there because people were very angry about it. Someone said, and you had to mention your boss LeBron. Like, why? Why the fascination with Bron? Let's get to the next tweet. You going to ask about Duncan when LeBron gets interviewed for getting in the Hall of Fame? Another tweet that says, great interview right up until she asked about LeBron. Why the F do you have to mention that dude? Come on, man. I swear ESPN has like a damn contract where they have to mention his name. Another tweet that says, Rachel Nichols interviews Timmy as he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame and starts asking him about how great LeBron James is. I'll leave it at this. Hashtag Tim Duncan. And then another tweet that says, I didn't believe it, so I had to see and hear it for myself. Rachel Nichols found a way to make Tim Duncan talk about LeBron during his own Hall of Fame induction interview. LMFAO, I need ESPN to crash and burn. Okay, so I think that people are being quite dramatic here, but like, I don't know. I don't think it's that out of line to ask a Hall of Fame athlete about the current greats in the league. For me, that doesn't seem like it's too outrageous. Maybe they spent too much time talking about LeBron and how great he is. I don't know. So, Jackie, I'm going to ask you, do you agree that this is just not the time or the place to be talking in such great detail and at such length about LeBron James, or are people being too triggered and dramatic about all of this?
I think they're being too triggered. And it's funny to me because I could literally be interviewing the guy in the corner about his hot dog stand, and I'm going to throw in there, so how do you feel about LeBron? Because that's just who I am. as a person. So if y'all mad at Rachel, y'all would stay mad at me. That's number one. Number two, I think it's a 10-minute interview, and for those of you who have never tried to, really sit down and interview somebody, if what you see is a 10-minute interview, it's probably a little bit longer than that because you just have to ask a lot of questions. And when you're interviewing someone like Tim Duncan, who spent such a long time in the league, LeBron becomes relevant because guys like Tim Duncan, guys like LeBron James, who played, a lot longer than what we expect, that's a topic. And, we're going to talk about it a little bit in the post up with Sue Bird. When you have these kinds of guys in the league, it's a topic like, hey, now that you're out of the league and you were in the league for so long, and this conversation has to shift, and you see what people are saying about LeBron, and you see how long he's been in the league. When you first met him, looking at where he is now, what do you think about him? That is a question, because not only are you asking him what he thinks about LeBron James, also future Hall of Famer, you're asking a Hall of Famer what he feels about a current athlete. It's a thing, people. We always want to hear what the Hall of Famers think about who's playing in the league. And it's a legitimate question. I think that people who don't understand that this is a legitimate question, number one, just hate LeBron for the sake of hating. And number two, don't really understand journalism. It's a legitimate question. Anytime anyone has an experience or a skill set in the field that gets them to that level where they're in the Hall of Fame, which not everybody gets into, their opinion counts. And so you want to hear how they feel about those who are playing in the league right now. So again, this is just people being mad for the sake of being mad. But she also asked him about Kobe, though, and nobody had a problem about Kobe. And the reason why you don't have a problem about Kobe is because right now, if you hate on Kobe, you probably get beat up. That's number one. And number two, because it seems like a relevant question because he also got inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. But if Kobe was still playing, no one would care, And if that's the case, then why would you ask a current Hall of Famer how he feels about somebody else who get inducted? They asked KG the same thing. The line of questioning was kind of the same across the board. I don't think KG was asked specifically about LeBron. I think he might have mentioned stuff on his own. I can't remember. I saw his full interview, but I didn't commit it to memory. But these are legitimate questions. And guess what? Going forward, these Hall of Famers and their opinions are going to matter here too, henceforth and forevermore. So they're going to get more questions about Steph. They're going to get more questions about LeBron. Kobe's always going to be a topic forever. So it's just always going to be a thing. So I just think this is people being mad just about the sake of being mad. I'm telling you, it don't matter who I'm interviewing or what I'm interviewing them about. I could be interviewing an open heart surgeon. Be like, you kind of the go to open heart surgery, just like LeBron. Speaking of, how do you feel about LeBron? That's how it's going to go, people. So just so you know, that's a thing.
It's just funny because LeBron is so triggering for so many people. And I think that if Rachel had asked him about Steph or about somebody else, she asked about Kobe, people don't get as upset and as angry about it. It's just LeBron. It's so funny. Do you think that because this question received so much negative feedback that it's a bad look on Rachel? Or how do you, I know you agree with what Rachel said, but seeing this influx of negativity come in, you don't think it's a bad reflection on who she is?
Rachel does not care. Rachel sat around with a glass of wine in her hand, maybe even LeBron James's wine, laughing at y'all, realizing that y'all don't understand journalism and that y'all have just a level of hate in your heart. And guess what? ESPN's not mad either because all y'all talking about, oh, ESPN, I hope they crash and burn. Guess what you just did? You gave them a like. You gave them a watch. You're commenting about them. You're keeping them relevant. Don't nobody care about what y'all think about Rachel Nichols' interview. It's working out to her favor because y'all keeping her name in your mouth. That's always good. There's no such thing as bad press, people. I keep trying to tell y'all that. So no, Rachel slept very, very, very well that night. I promise.
I agree. I really didn't see anything wrong with it. As much as I like LeBron, I try to go into these things with, an unbiased perspective. But this, I was like, it's not that unusual. It's not that out of line to ask a Hall of Fame athlete what he thinks about current and former NBA greats. So I don't know why people get so in their feelings about it. Everybody needs to chill out. But that wraps up Need to Know News. Jackie, what is happening in the post up?
All right, let's somebody said, who said this in the chat? Jeremiah said Jackie's gonna get knocked out one day by a Curry fan. A Steph Curry fan? As in a little lightweight? Stop it right now.
I have something to add too, because Jeremiah also says, Devin, WTF are you talking about? Curry is the most hated player in the league. I have never heard a statement further from the truth. Steph is the most loved player in the league. I guarantee it, 1,000%. Steph is the most loved player. Don't even try that. Stay mad. Jeez.
Right. You end up you're gonna go from anger management classes to delusional classes. You better get it together, because it's not a good look for you this Monday. So let's go on to this first post up, because this one is fun. Speaking of stay mad, this will make you a little bit happy, because Baron Davis is out here loving that Steph mimicked him, and I want to show you the video of Steph doing this thing. Is he was super excited, because now he knows what's going forward for him. And he knows he's got to step up and be the reason why the Warriors win. And he's embracing this moment. So take a look. I love that. I love the intensity from Steph, because we've said it before. That's what they need. They need Steph to step completely up. But Baron also saw this, and he's a big fan of Steph Curry kind of paying homage. And so Baron Davis was like, I love Steph Curry, which once again, stay mad. That proves you wrong. Nobody hates Steph Curry, but Baron definitely loves the imitation, and that he acknowledged Baron in this moment. So that's dope. I love that too. And I mean, nobody's mad at Steph. No, we might not like the Warriors, but nobody dislikes Steph. That's not a thing. Get it together. But let's go on to this next one, because I actually really love this next one, because back in April, I did not know if Dame was going to be able to keep this promise, but y'all remember this tweet from back in April where this guy, and I believe him, because, these people out here who do sports betting, they be betting too much. But I don't know if you remember this tweet from back in April where this guy was like, hey, I need you to, he says, Dame, how is your hamstring? I need you guys to win 42 games this year, or I lose my house. Huge fan, even if I'm in the mansion or homeless. And, so people who be doing these sports betting, they do bet stupid stuff like that. I've seen it time and time again. And Dame said, say less. Now, y'all know how much I love Dame. It's just no question. I love Dame in my heart. But I'm mad that they're not 41-31, because I just needed them to lose. So then that week, but they didn't. So they made it 42-30. Dame fulfilled his promise to this man. This man did not lose his house. And I have a feeling that this user is right when he talked about how this user was watching that game, feeling like, oh God, he was like, ooh, bro, watching the last game, like, I'm just got to smoke something. I'm just have to get my mind right, because I thought it was a joke, haha, but now I don't know. So don't bet your house is the moral of the story. I appreciate you, Dame, making sure this man did not have to lose his house. But yeah, that's okay. So look, Killer Jude, I will kill your whole stilo in this chat, just so you know. Y'all don't know me like that. This must be your first time here. I'm going to talk slowly so you can enjoy my trap a little longer, because I'm petty. So you just need to understand that. But I will block you. Y'all better tell him in the chat my block game is strong. So get it together. Now let's go to this next one, because
wait,
go ahead, Devin.
We cannot move on yet, because I have an update for you about this Dame story.
Okay, yes.
This also, I muted that guy because he sucks. We don't need that kind of negative energy in our lives right now. So later, Killer Jude. Anyway, this guy lied. He did not bet his house. He bet $200. So everybody has been following this narrative for so long, for weeks. And he's been all excited and tweeting about it. And he's like, oh yeah, we got this. Like, me and Dame, man. And then Dame was like, show me the ticket, bro, after he won that 40-second game. And he posted his little, I don't really know how betting works, but he posted his screenshot, and it was $200. So it was a whole falsified narrative. This guy lied, and it's a little upsetting.
I'm so mad at that, because that means that they could have lost, and I would have felt fine about it, because if they'd have lost, then that would have been good for us. Now you got Dame out here thinking he fighting for your damn house. Boo! Boo. I'm so mad about this right now. Let me get my composure together, because it really pissed me off. Let me get it together. Ooh, Dame, you should have just lost on GP. You should have lost on GP if you'd have known it was only for $200. And then look. Boo. I don't like this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but I do not like him at all. But this next one, I am surprised that it took this long for this to happen, because I just expected this to be kind of a thing, at least, for a couple of games when he came into the league, but it was not. Mike Breen literally had to be suffering from some sort of hangriness for this moment in time to happen that I have been waiting for. And the way he catches himself is hilarious. Take a look at how he just very seriously. Oh, wait, are we on the? Oh, I skipped one. Okay. Did I skip Kendrick Perkins? Okay, I skipped this Kendrick Perkins one. So y'all remember J. Cole last week we were all excited. And when I say we, I mean me. I was super excited that J. Cole was going to start his professional career in the African League. I forget the name of his team, but Kendrick Perkins posted it and makes fun of himself because Kendrick didn't score a lot of points and says, those big perk numbers I see. So he scored 3 points, got 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Yeah. That's okay, though. That's his first game. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those moments in time where you kind of have to... He'll be fine. I bet you the next game he scores what, 13 points? I'm just going to throw it out there right now. I'm going to keep track. He's going to score at least 13 points, have 8 assists, 9 rebounds. Just a random number. I'm just throwing it out there. But now let's get into the one that I was talking about earlier, because this is the one that I'm a big fan of. Because how Mike Breen says is he's 100% serious and he catches himself like super late. So take a look how he describes he says Taco Fall's names. It's hilarious.
Well, keeps it alive, but right to Taco Bell. Here comes Parker. Did I just say Taco Bell? Oh my goodness.
You must be hungry, bro.
I need to get some sleep.
He said it so serious that hey, those are right to Taco Bell. Did I just say? I have been that hungry before. I have been that hungry where I'm just spouting off like stupidity, and then I catch myself. Did I just say that right? I did just say that right.
I mean,
it's
a pretty easy mistake to make because there are like. If you think, I know Taco spells his name differently, but there's really only like 2 letters that separate Taco Bell from Taco Fall. So it's not really that surprising. And also, I always have Taco Bell on my mind. This is the kind of mistake I feel like I would make because I'm always down for those crispy potato tacos or a veggie Crunchwrap Supreme. Oh, so good.
They have this new, well, I don't know if it's new or if I just discovered it, but they have this new black bean chalupa, and it's just black beans and a ton of veggies. It is so good. So when he said that, when I saw this morning in the rundown and I played it, I was like, "Oh, I could go." I didn't even flinch. Like, oh, he called him Taco Bell. I was like, I could go for a bean taco right now. Like it didn't even bother me. It was like, oh yeah, that's not his name. So I'm with you, Mike. I'm not mad at you. I totally understand what happened, and I agree with what this user says. You can basically say what you want, Mike, because we always gonna love you. He says, new rule: Hall of Fame announcers can say whatever the hell they want. No worries, Mike. I'm with you, Mike, and especially since you caught yourself so quick. Like, did I just say that? Oh my God! So you good with us, Mike? We still love you. No worries at all. Okay, so now this next one, though, I have to build up a little bit because we all remember how John Wall kind of seemed a little bit upset in the first post. I think it was the first post-game interview he did after James Harden kind of disparaged the whole team and said that there wasn't a lot of talent there. And John Wall kind of seemed a little bit unnerved that James Harden didn't want to play with him. So this user on Twitter posted this whole thing and broke it down because he actually did this poll. And so he starts it with, yo, John Wall on Instagram. And then he's like, dead. So let me show you the poll in case you can't see it. Let me blow it up a little bit bigger for you, which is this next post. But he says, will John Wall get traded, bought out, or will he stay? And then he will leave, he will stay. Okay, so then this next one, because when you do these surveys on your Instagram, you can go through even during and see who voted which way. So it looks like one of the first votes came from John Wall, and it says John Wall voted that he will leave. So, okay, that to me says everything because you just don't like this. That's a lot. But y'all do know he scored 20 points he's averaging 20 points, 3 rebounds, and almost 7 assists per game, which is not horrible. But everyone has an opinion about John Wall liking this, and they feel some type of way about it. And I don't know how you would feel some type of way about it. He said once one person says he's about to come to Toronto. Another guy says John Wall ain't good enough to dictate where he goes, but he's lucky he's even still in the league. And then this other guy says he's coming to the Lakers. Okay, I don't know about where he's going, but that middle one kind of bothers me. I get that maybe he doesn't have the right to say, oh, I want to go to this team, but he very much has the right to say, I want to leave if he wants to, and his agent needs to work that out. He can definitely do that. I mean, but the Lakers, I think, are out for sure. Toronto, I don't know. Devin, what do you think about all this?
So I think he's trolling, first of all. I don't think that he thinks he's leaving. I think that he saw an opportunity to troll and make a headline, so that's why he voted that way. I don't know where I see him going. I don't really feel like he's going to have a say in where he ends up, but I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion on that. But as for the vote, as for the poll, I don't think that he means it at all.
Doug in the chat says, interesting, although he on a contract for 2 or 3 more years, guess that means nothing today. It doesn't really mean anything today. People can kind of whine and pout until they leave. But I do think even if he is trolling, I don't think you troll and say you're leaving when you know all the dysfunction that comes with being with the Houston Rockets, because everyone's going to think something, including your coach and your GM. It's going to mean something. So I don't know if this is the time that you decide to troll.
Probably not.
I mean, I get it, but maybe next time. Maybe next time, not this time. Okay. Let's go on to this next one, because this next one to me totally annoyed me, because I think. Oh, I'm frozen. Am I frozen for you guys? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, so I think. Okay, cool. So Boban we know how dope he is just as a human being. You take away the player, as a human being, he is a great guy. And the fact that he was tossed out of the game for this, now I love that he kind of washed that off and definitely was good to Jordan Poole. But first of all, watch the foul. Watch how he reacts after it. I don't think this warrants a flagrant 2, but take a look.
It wasn't anything more serious. So he gets hit there. His head did snap, and then right there.
Even if it's a little bit right there, just the snap part. And it's so tough because you can't brace yourself once you elevate in the air like that and get hit. Again, not intentional.
And now Ed Malloy is explaining it. Yep.
What happened right here? Did they give him a flagrant 2 on that and tossed him out?
He did. Yeah. Yep. He got tossed.
I don't agree with that. I really don't.
I don't agree with that at all, because a flagrant kind of implies that it was intentional. You did it on purpose. You knew what you were doing. Boban was up in the air and trying to make a block. It definitely wasn't intentional. And if you didn't know that just from watching the play, you definitely knew from the end on how he reacted. So let me give you a close up to that. Look at that concern that he has for Jordan Poole. This is definitely not a flagrant 2. If you want to give him a flagrant 1, that's fine, but it's definitely not a flagrant 2, and he's ejected from the game. This is ridiculous. But Boban is still Boban. Him getting ejected from the game and all that didn't mean anything. His concern was still for Jordan, and I love this because Jordan took a picture of this and said that Boban sent him this and says, Jordan, here's a big blanket. I hope this helps your head. Oh, my goodness. He's such a good guy. He's such a good guy. I'm not surprised at this, but I'd still be mad that I got tossed from the game, that I might have had to do this in a week or so. Oh, dang, poor Jordan. Is he okay? I wouldn't have done this immediately after the game because I'd still be mad because that call was trash. But Devin, are you surprised? We can't be surprised that Boban would do something like this. It's so sweet of him to do.
It's very sweet. And I have said before, I love nice guys. I like it when people are just very sweet and generous and giving. And I appreciate that about him. I think that this was the best response. He could have been really, really angry about that call. But instead, he's actually, and even just watching the way he reacted, leaning over him right away to check and make sure that he was okay. It just shows that he's just a good guy. He didn't mean any harm in it. He wasn't intentionally trying to knock him down or anything like that. When you're in the air, you can't really control what happens. Once you're up there, you're up there, and whatever happens, happens. So I think that this was the perfect reaction.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But, Boban's just a good guy.
All right, I think we lost Jackie, you guys. I don't know if you guys can hear me right now. Hopefully you can, but I guess maybe I'll move us on into the next post up. Let's see what's going on. Okay. So Sue Bird, you guys, let's talk about Sue Bird because she learned that she learns the age of her teammate's mom. Leo, why don't we just get that clip going up there? I wasn't prepared to hand. Oh, is Jackie back? She's back. I was trying to take over the post up.
It said the server. Did Leo kick me out? It said the server kicked you out. Leo, the server. I'm just kidding.
Leo was like, I'm sick of her simping after Boban. Kicks you out.
Like, get rid of her. Okay, so anywho, so this one, before, I know Devin was going to toss it to the video, which is great, but I just love what Sue had to say at the beginning of it too. So kind of listen to that because I love how she admits that her playing at her age is kind of changing how we view the careers of athletes and how long that might go. But then there's that moment where she realizes, okay, I am in this league and I'm older, and how she realized it. It's hilarious. Take a listen.
Kind of joke. We're myself, Diana, and I don't say this lightly, LeBron James, Tom Brady. I think we're changing the conversations. That's mine, sorry. I think we're changing the conversations of what it means to have a long career as an athlete. I think the way I always joke about it is 40 is the new 30. Although I found out today, oh my gosh, guys, this is just terrible. I found out today that our new teammate, Kiki, her mom is my age. We have the same birthday. Like, she's 40 the same way I'm 40. She was like, oh, no worry. She's a young mom. I'm like, she's a mom to my teammate. She's like, she's excited to meet you. I was like, yeah, she probably wants to like hang out and get drinks. We're the same age.
That is crazy because that's one of those things that it happens. It happens to people like Tom Brady. It happens to people like LeBron James, and it happens to Sue Bird. And it's going to happen. I think the way that people are starting to take care of their bodies and things like that, I think we're going to see a lot more of this now. I think people are going to be in the league a lot longer. They're going to actually meet people that are in the league when they started in the league. I think it's great. I think it's just a sign of how much better a lot of these athletes and a lot of us in the real world are taking care of ourselves. I think it's dope. But Sue got nothing but love on this whole entire thread. People were giving her so much love, like, oh, you don't look for it, which she doesn't. She looks great. But I love this one because this one was hilarious. He was like, oh, if that's all that you've experienced, you haven't experienced anything yet. Because he says, oh, Sue, you haven't lived until a colleague who you thought was crushing on you tells you they want to introduce you to their single mom or dad. And he goes, yep, that happened. So I totally get it. That is hilarious when he's like, oh, she got a crush on me. Oh, you should meet my mom. That's the absolute worst. He's probably so embarrassed in that moment. But this next one I love as well. He says, like fine wine, the best you can ever intake at Sue Bird. You get better with age, my friend. 2, motivate millions of young ladies you influence, including my younger sister, Asha Clark, Alicia Clark. Just continue doing you, shattering one glass ceiling at a time. So I love this. Congratulations to Sue Bird for now all of a sudden having a teammate that, you know, she could literally be her mom. That's crazy, but I don't think it's one of those crazy things that should make you feel bad about your age. It's a beautiful thing that you've been able to have this long career. So shout out to Sue Bird because I absolutely love that woman. She's hard not to love, though. She really is. So shout out to her. This next one, though, I can't wait to see how Miss Devin feels about this one because I have missed, well, these next two, actually. I have missed UFC for the last 2 weeks. I feel so bad because y'all know UFC is my thing, but I haven't hooked my TV up yet. I could watch it and just sit the TV on the floor, but I'm bougie. I'm not going to watch it until my TV is mounted. That's just who I am. Not going to do it. So I watch a lot of the highlights on Twitter and stuff, but let me tell you, the main UFC highlight, you know, Devin is all... I know what Devin's going to see about this video. So if y'all, when you're watching the video, run a poll on the first thing that Devin is going to say about this video. But take a look at the big fight at UFC. Okay, Devin, I'm going to come to you because I think there's one main thing outside of the tomfoolery that was going on in the stands. I think there's one main thing that I expect you to notice right away.
Oh gosh, now I feel so much pressure. Wait,
All right,
let's watch the
just
video one more time, Leo.
Okay,
Let's watch it one more time. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what the one thing you are expecting me to notice. All I notice is just a bunch of idiots fighting in stands, acting like they're the fighters themselves because they're too hyped up on watching fights happen. That's what I was gonna say. What did you expect?
I expected you to say what this next Twitter user said. So Leo, throw that other tweet up there because nope, that's the Sue Bird one. But I expected you to notice not one person had a mask on in there. No. That's a totally next story. That's what I expected you to notice. Not one person in there had a single mask on.
You
and they're
are
just
right.
I expected you to notice that.
I don't know why I didn't. That's so weird. But okay, wait. I want to say one thing. I know we're running short on time. I want to say one thing. When men watch UFC fights and boxing matches, they seriously start to feel like they are the fighters. That's something that I've noticed. It's so weird because they see this aggression happening in front of them, and then suddenly they're all like hyped up and they think that they can take other people down. Like I told you, that guy who screamed at me when I unknowingly was in his way at the bar, he was so aggressive about it and being so rude about it. And it was like, it went from being so chill to this guy being so mad, yelling at me for doing something I didn't even realize I was doing. I was just sitting at the table that I reserved. I don't know if you guys remember this. Maybe I'm speaking nonsense here, but men start to act like they are the fighters. You guys need to learn to realize that you're not the ones there in the ring or whatever it is.
That's the whole thing. I remember, who was it? Some friend of mine did this she called it the Fast and Furious study, and how when people watch certain things, they behave a certain way. And so she went to every single Fast and Furious movie and then talked to police within the weeks following the debut of the movie to find out how many drag races occurred right after Fast and Furious movies, and it went up 110% after every Fast and Furious movie, drag races in the city. So she did a whole study. She called it the Fast and Furious effect. So you're right. She did a whole paper on it. So I'm like, damn, I didn't even think of that. She's like, yeah, it goes up 100 because men, they go, I could do that, and then they just try it. So okay, so you're not wrong in that, Devin. You're not wrong at all. But this next one is another one that I know Devin's going to be upset about because Devin and I totally disagreed about this whole thing, about this couple that, we talked about. They were on their first date. Their friend was down below and he kind of tweeted out and wanted the team to zoom in on them so he could see how the first date was going. But there was a reporter who felt like Devin and felt like they should have dressed better. I totally disagreed with this. I feel like they are dressed perfectly fine for a baseball game, but Devin was like, no, he could have at least worn a polo, some shirt. Devin said that wasn't sporty but Lindsay Adler, who is a journalist, agreed 100%. She said, I am simply begging straight men to try harder than athletic shorts and spring training t-shirts on a date. I disagree. This is the perfect outfit for this date. But they were like, okay, since Devin and little miss, this journalist wants to clown us, we're gonna troll y'all. And this is how they came to their next date, which is their third or fourth date now. Are you happy now? Are you happy now, Devin? This is that baseball game. You see what you've done?
Okay.
You see what you've done?
They went too far. They leaned too far into it. They went too far in the other direction. I appreciate the effort, and I also love a good trolling moment. I just think that men should not be wearing shorts on a first date. I don't care where you're going or what you're doing. Wear jeans. If you want to wear the spring training shirt, go ahead. But wear jeans, wear some nice pants. Do not wear shorts. Don't wear flip-flops. And don't wear flip-flops with jeans.
Yeah,
okay.
I am anti flip-flops at all time because I hate the one thing that irritates me more than anything is people dragging their feet, and that sound just happens automatically with flip-flops. So I am anti flip-flops. If I see somebody wearing flip-flops, we're not leaving the house together. Period. Not doing it. I don't care. I hate the sound of flip-flops.
For for me, it's a deal breaker if I go out with somebody and they show up specifically in jeans and flip-flops. That's just a look I cannot get behind. I absolutely hate it. So, yeah.
The other thing that I hate is like they're not even flip-flops, but they're the sandals that have the little, and socks. Sandals and socks.
Oh. Slides, like the Adidas slides.
I'm not going with no. If you're wearing those in socks, it's we're gonna have to reschedule. I feel suddenly ill. I'm so sorry, but that's all I got for the post up. It's time for us to get into this. What we not gonna do, and I gotta be honest, this one bothers me, but I'm almost bothered by the fact that I'm bothered. If that makes sense, because racism in this country just never shocks me. I don't think that we can actually say that we'll ever reach a time in this country when we move on from racism. The country was founded on racism and then now tries to ignore racism and pretend like racism isn't a thing. It's just a lot. And I just think it's just part of our country, unfortunately. And the NFL, my relationship with the NFL has kind of faded over the years, obviously because of what happened with Colin Kaepernick, and it's just not the same for me. Which is difficult for me because I actually love the game of football. I love the athletes. I love everything that they do. And seeing the level of racism that we continue to see in the NFL, and Urban Meyer's definitely re-upped that whole thing with, putting Tim Tebow in there when Eric Reid still doesn't have a job. But seeing the racism that we see in the NFL is always one of those, yep, it makes sense to me. I know a lot of people don't agree with me because they're like, how does it make sense when the league is predominantly black? Yes, but there's zero black ownership. So that's the disconnect. And it's always going to be like that because there's zero black ownership. But I'll have to say this one specifically bothered me on a level that I don't even want to watch football next year. Like, I don't want to watch it at all. I think this is stupid because yes, this is happening to retired NFL athletes, but this is just a sign of who the NFL is. This isn't just that's just affecting them. This is going to affect these new players as well. So it bothers me, but I don't even know how to get into this. So there's a lawsuit, which I'm sure you guys have heard about this before. There's been a lawsuit. It happened a couple years back, and there's a huge settlement with regards to brain injuries that a lot of retired athletes received because of these constant head impacts that they had. That shouldn't be a surprise to any of us because we all know the impact of CTE and what that means to the brain and how we're still kind of learning about that. So that's not a big surprise to me at all. What's a big surprise to me is the NFL knows the pain, the suffering that these players are going to endure because of this. And they had a settlement because of this where they're going to pay out millions of dollars. But in this moment of understanding what this CTE means to the brain, they still chose racism instead. That's what bothers me. Like, this is not the time to choose racism. Because with this settlement, like I said, they're supposed to be paying out this money to these players, the majority of whom are black. But the NFL has insisted on using this algorithm that is detrimental to black players. So this algorithm it's called race norming. And what this algorithm is supposed to do, well, basically what it says is that black men start with a lower cognitive, that even off top from birth, just because they're black men, their cognitive skills are lower. So what they do is they go out and they test all these football players. White guys, their cognitive test is supposed to be here. Like, if you drop below here as a white guy, then you're going to get this money. But they put the black men down here. So black men have more detriment, have more pain and suffering, have more cognitive issues than white men in order to get paid out. And so this is what the NFL has done to basically keep from paying black men on this lawsuit. To me, this is horrific. And I don't want black men playing in the NFL anymore. Like, that's how I feel in my heart of hearts. They've shown us time and time again who they are. Why do we keep playing for them? It's hard for me to reconcile that. This has been going on since 2018. It's just now been noticed. That, hey, these white guys are getting money, but the black guys aren't. And that's easy to notice when the majority of the people in the settlement are black. It's easy to be like, okay, everybody white over there got paid because it's just a handful of them. Meanwhile, these 50,000 people, who are not getting paid, have not been paid. It's really easy. It's one of those things that the NFL probably should have thought this through. But former Washington running back Ken Jerkins, who is 60, and his wife, they delivered 50,000 petitions from Black players and their families demanding U.S. District Judge Anita B. Brody investigate this situation and basically reverse it. Now, the funny thing about it is this is, I think I threw a picture of her in there, Judge Anita Brody. This is her. So obviously this is a white woman. Now, this is a white woman who threw this out a little while ago. She was like, no, this makes sense. I don't want to do it. And then after she got some pressure, she's like, well, maybe we should look into it. And instead of owning it and saying this is absolutely wrong, you can't say that Black men automatically have lower cognitive than white men. That's dumb. That's just a stupid thing to say. Instead of saying that, she's like, you know what? I'm going to pass this down to a magistrate judge and I'm going to let him look into it. This bothers me to the level of, I can't even make it make sense anymore. I can't make it make sense. I can't make the NFL make sense for Black people anymore. So the NFL, of course, they went to them for a comment. The NFL, of course, denied the comment. There is the NFL Players Association, but I'm going to say this. In college, we had the Black Student Alliance. The reason why we had the Black Student Alliance is because I went to a predominantly white school. We needed it because the things that we were going through were not things that our white colleagues were going through. The NFL at bare minimum needs a Black Players Association, period. Because obviously the NFL is still not capable of treating people equally. I don't have any other thing to say about it. That's a period at the end of the sentence. They don't know how to treat people equally. So you need a Black Players Association that's able to address these types of issues. Because these are, and this is the scary thing, these are the issues that are coming to light, which means racism is like roaches. When you see one, there's a million other things going on in the background that you just don't see. So this is one thing that we're seeing. There's a million other things that we're not seeing. You guys need to come together and figure out a way to get either a Black Players Association in the NFL, or at this point, just figure out another sport, because the NFL is never going to drift away from its racism until we stop saying, okay, we're going to play with you regardless of the fact that we know that you're completely racist. This is ridiculous because they need this to survive, basically. They've put their minds, hearts, and bodies on the line for you, and you guys are going to say, okay, now we know we need to pay you, but we're not going to pay you. We're going to pay the white guys. This is crazy to me. I have no other words for this. Devin, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I think it's horrible. I was about to say horrendous, and then I got mixed up. I think it's horrible. I think it's shameful, especially just knowing that in order for their injuries to be even taken as seriously, Black men do have to suffer more. Like what you said, to me, it's just outrageous. And I agree with you. I mean, we've seen Black players in the NFL sort of mobilize to create a bit of change, but clearly it's not enough to actually do this systemic overhaul, which is what really needs to happen with the NFL. But I do think that it seems like they're recognizing there's power in numbers. We've talked about this before, so hopefully this can start get the ball rolling with change. But I think, yeah, this is absolutely horrible. I can't say that I'm surprised. I feel like we've known that the NFL is racist for a very long time now, but it's very, very, very upsetting.
Yeah, I see Mike in the chat. He said, Jackie, they unfortunately cannot quit the NFL. Families have to be fed. So that's the mindset that always bothers me, because the NFL, as racist as it is, it's a $1 billion organization. It's a $1 billion organization that is riding on the back of Black men. So they could quit, and they could force the hand of the NFL, and they could say, we're done, period. Because all of a sudden the NFL would start scrambling to be like, okay, wait. What can we do so y'all all don't dip? The problem is they don't stick together like that. And they say stuff like, oh, if I don't do this now, my family's not going to be fed. Only 1% of you guys make it to the NFL anyway. So you should have had a backup plan off the jump. That's number one. Number two, if you guys all say, what affects one affects us all, when the second they have the mentality and they stick together and they say, hey, we're all walking out, then all of a sudden NFL is like, I can't believe we did. This was done by that intern. This is terrible. We're going to change this immediately. I'm telling you, it would take a week before we saw this sudden change, and then everybody would be blaming somebody else, but then we would get this overhaul. It's the fact that they don't stick together and they're not willing to make that sacrifice that we don't see any kind of change in the NFL. And until they do, we won't.
The NFL is nothing without its Black athletes. So I think that they hold so much power to create the league that actually is going to treat them fairly. So hopefully that can hopefully that can happen. Hopefully we can see that. You guys, we are going to wrap up the show now, so let's do that. Don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends. We're going to be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as usual with another live show, so make sure you tune in then, and have a great Monday, you guys. See you later.